Many people credit ECW as being the launching pad for the Attitude Era. Without this company, we may have never seen Stone Cold Steve Austin drinking a beer and flipping off the boss. ECW was edgy, violent, and dangerous. This aura around the company brought an extremely loyal and dedicated fan base. Heyman was able to create an us versus them mentality that the fans and the entire locker room would abide by, one of whom was Tommy Dreamer. By the mid-90s, Dreamer had cemented himself as a core pillar of the ECW brand, his character being described as similar to Die Hard's John McClane, an ordinary man pushed to extraordinary measures. Dreamer was making a name for himself as part of this rebel organization, and the industry began to take notice. In 1995, Dreamer recalls being offered a WCW contract for $75,000 to join the company. He would be brought in to form the tag team The American Males and would be making more money than he was making in ECW. However, Dreamer felt as though ECW had a purpose and was gaining momentum, which it was. Dreamer also felt like he'd be leaving for enemy territory and be playing so Dreamer ultimately called the offer. Scotty Riggs would form a tag team with Buff Bagwell instead, and Dreamer would go on to be ECW legend. Often referred to as the heart and soul of ECW. And while he wasn't necessarily making huge money at this time, his name value was certainly growing. And by 1997, WCW came calling again. This time, WCW offered even more money than before. They were also interested in signing WCW stars. Dreamer recalls Raven, The Eliminators, RVD, Sabu, and Sandman, all receiving calls from WCW. Dreamer assumed, probably correctly, WCW weren't necessarily interested in him, but rather interested in hurting him and ECW. Dreamer would decline this offer as well and stick with him. During this time, Dreamer would take on more and more responsibility on behalf of the company. He would take on a more managerial role and would even law professional Dreamer than anybody else. During this time, Dreamer was seen as Paul Heyman's biggest man. Then, leading into the new millennium, Dreamer would receive yet another call from WCW. This time, things were a little more interesting. Eric Bischoff would reportedly offer Dreamer a contract of $750,000 in guaranteed pay. This was obviously a significant bump in pay, and Tommy began to weigh these options. Bischoff wanted to run an ECW invasion angle, but told Tommy that Heyman was not likely to go for it. Bischoff felt they could still do the angle with a guy like Dreamer. Feeling a loyalty to Heyman, Tommy would call him to try to convince him to cooperate with WCW so that each party could benefit. According to Dreamer, Heyman immediately dismissed the idea and stated Vince would never forgive him. Tommy immediately picked up on this puzzling statement, but didn't think too much into it at the time. Instead, he would focus on this offer from WCW and what it would mean to him and his family to make that happen.
Oh, we making money, Dad. What's the word?
In his words, he was all but running the company. He felt that if got the most to gain alongside Paul Heyman. Being such a cornerstone of the company both in and outside the ring, if ECW were to succeed, he would too. On the other hand, WCW
I smoke every day and I've never got to the hitting the shit in the shower point. Like,
Yo, Zach Stack, what?
Here I go.
Chat, I Yo, no way. I can go to sleep now. TikTok, break my notifications, please. TikTok, break my notifications, please. TikTok, break my notifications, please.
Costs.
Out of loyalty to Paul Heyman, Tommy would inform him of his decision face to face. According to Dreamer, Heyman would completely break down. Through the tears, Heyman would tell Tommy that ECW would not survive without him, and that all of his friends wouldn't have jobs if he left. This struck a nerve with Dreamer, considering himself to be a company guy and a loyal friend. These words would ultimately lead him to decline WCW once and for all. Somewhat ironically, it would be the WWF who would deliver the final blows to ECW. Despite apparently being on good terms with one another, the WWF would swoop in and sign Taz and the Dudley Boys to the WCW. Many people thought champion in a bizarre turn of events. Finally, ECW would lose their deal with TNA as the WWF landed a deal with the network. ECW struggled financially without the network deal and would ultimately need to close its doors. Interestingly, it seems as though Heyman and Vince McMahon had been talking for quite some time. According to JR, Vince had been funding ECW with an approximate $50,000 a month to keep the company going. Heyman would approach the USA Network to try and secure another TV deal, in which Vince McMahon personally wrote a letter encouraging the network to add ECW to the however, that ECW would be unable to secure the deal. Still interesting to note together during this time. According to JR on with JR podcast, the WWF simply wanted to keep the company going, knowing that they would be first in line to buy their assets when the time came. Though Vince McMahon has stated that this was in part due to the WWF signing Tom from ECW, feeling it was only fair to give something back since they were using ECW as a developmental territory. In this instance, it was better for them to work together in facing their more threatening rival, WCW. Heyman reportedly did not disclose the working relationship with Vince, nor the company's financial struggles to anybody in the locker room. When Dreamer eventually found out about the financial uncertainty, he decided to put some of his own money into the company. Seeing himself as Heyman's partner, he claims to have put both his and his partner's money into the company so that they could continue to fight against WCW and the WWF, not knowing that Vince McMahon and Heyman were already working together. Despite these efforts, ECW would declare bankruptcy at the end of the year 2000, and the fight for WCW Dreamer had gone from declining $750,000 to now watching the company fall to the door. After the final ECW show on January 14, 2001, the company was forced into bankruptcy proceedings. During this time, Paul Heyman was brought on as a color commentator in the WWF, filling in for Jerry Lawler, who had left the company in protest for the firing of his then wife, Stacey Carter. Heyman would reportedly promise to bring Dreamer in with him on multiple occasions, but after all of these plans fell through, Dreamer began to get desperate. In the weeks leading up to WrestleMania 17, Heyman would again call Dreamer to tell him he would have a spot on the show in the now legendary TLC match. However, these plans would again fall through for unknown reasons, and Dreamer would be taken. He would debut in a hardcore match at WrestleMania with, quote, the focus entirely on you. But these plans too would be cancelled. Dreamer was now feeling a lot of resentment towards Heyman, the man who Dreamer had considered a close friend and business partner, had lied to him about ECW's financial position, had accepted his and his family's money without telling him that McMahon was already pouring money into it, had begged Dreamer not to take the biggest contract of his life, and was seemingly now lying to Dreamer once again with the promise of a WWE run coming to fruition. Feeling betrayed, Tommy would fall into a deep depression. According to Dreamer himself, his thoughts would get darker by the day, and soon convinced himself that Paul Heyman had to pay. Tommy was working on the Indies during this time and found himself in Texas, a few days out from WrestleMania 17, which was also set to take place in Texas. While at the Indy show, Tommy would see a sign permitting firearms into the building, with a staff member explaining that in Texas, you can carry a weapon on you when entering a venue. This would spark a sinister plan in Tommy's head. According to Dreamer himself, he had decided he was going to get revenge on Heyman in the most brutal and public way possible at the Showcase of Immortals. While the event was taking place, his plan was to simply walk into the Houston Astrodome with a loaded gun, and at some point, he would appear behind the announcer's desk live on TV, jump the barricade, and shoot Heyman in front of his audience. He would then hit his signature pose before turning the gun on himself and ending it all.
Want to know a secret? More than just my armpit stink.
Facts. I use new Secret Whole Body Sensitive Deodorant for 24/7 odor protection that goes on clear. So I smell great all day. And all night. Secret. Stay fresher under pressure.
Depression can feel like a winding road with no
This may seem like something with zero intention to do. However, according to Dreamer, he was absolutely set on this plan. In his mind, Heyman had ruined his and his family's lives and thought he would be, quote, an ultimate martyr for these actions. He apparently got so far into this plan as to actually show up outside the Astrodome with a loaded gun. While the event was taking place, Dreamer was apparently across the street, sitting in his car with a loaded weapon. There's some speculation from a few different sources that he had secured a front row ticket from a scalper and was ready to execute his plan. Fortunately, earlier that day, Dreamer had received a phone call. It was an unrecognized number, so he hadn't answered the phone, but the caller did leave a voicemail. At some point during the evening, Dreamer decided to check this voicemail. The message was from none other than good old JR. Hey Tommy, it's Ross. Just wanted to let you know we are still thinking about you. We are gonna get it done. Just gotta hang tight. Thank you. This single phone call gave Dreamer a glimmer of hope. Until now, Dreamer had only heard from Heyman about any WWF plans. But now JR himself, who was head of talent relations, was telling him that they had plans for him and that they were in fact thinking of him. While it may never be a $750,000 contract, it was still an opportunity. This phone call let Dreamer know that he wasn't forgotten by the world of wrestling and there was still hope for his career. Dreamer would thankfully drive away, and what would have probably been the darkest broadcast in television history never came to be. WrestleMania 17 would go on to become a legendary event, and Dreamer would eventually be brought into the WWF on July 9th, 2001 as part of the Invasion storyline. Ironically, once again, standing side by side with Paul Heyman.
In 1996, a 17-year-old aspiring pro wrestler named Mass Transit was
In the world of professional wrestling, one of the hardest and most important things you could do is keep your character or your product as fresh as possible. Every wrestler has the potential to be wildly popular, but every gimmick has a shelf life. As over as you are in that moment, it's near impossible to maintain for a long period of time, and the crowd will eventually turn. There are certainly exceptions to this rule where wrestlers will remain universally over no matter what period of the career they're in, and they won't have to change a thing. But they do to maintain interest in their characters. Some examples of this practice include Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Don't jump on the bed. Reject it. A killer party.
Have you ever heard of the movie Taken? A pretty young girl gets kidnapped and...
These are 10 of the most emotional streamer moments.
And it's fucked me up the whole
I would never take for granted,
And at number 10, it involved a lot of streamers getting emotional after they almost lost their lives. Because nearly all of LA was being covered by one of the biggest wildfires in California history.
catastrophe in California.
These fires are pretty much out of control.
And with so many streamers living there, they were all affected.
I found out today, I don't know if this is TMI or not, but I found out today that I ain't got fire insurance. I'm figuring all that out, bro, because my crib burned down. That's just being wasted, bro.
This has a battery now. Look at this fire. This is on the other side of the hill right now.
Oh my God, it's right there. Oh my God, he's burning mad close.
Hey, look, guys, this mayor, like, no jokes aside, depending if the fire spread, it could be the last. That's the phase house. I didn't know that it was this serious. Once I see my mom fall and all that, this is very serious, very close.
But even though the fire was completely taking over their lives, all of those streamers were lucky to make it out with their homes on hand, except for one.
As you guys know, unfortunately, my mouth went up and down.
Oh my God, we gotta turn around, bro. You know what's coming? Oh my God, get the fuck out of here. Dude, this is insanity.
I am extremely fortunate. I'm here, I'm with my family, I'm alive, we're good. So, no matter what, chat, there's always something to be grateful about.
Then, I'm just happy K-San made it out alive. But Kai Cenat got emotional at number 9 after finding out his cameraman's illegal secret.
My cameraman, Chris, apparently, got in the parents get parents can date. Just got caught talking to a person who was 10 years old. And it was annoying when shit happened. Come on, every time, bro. This was caught talking to somebody that's not dating consent. Since she was 17, right? At that moment, you're supposed to stop texting. I reached out to her, and it's some messages that look fucking crazy, bro. This shit look fucking crazy, bro. And it's fucked up the whole day, gang. Like the whole... Right.
This is 22-year-old Joseph O'Connor seeing sunlight for the first time in years, closely followed by his lawyer mother, who was willing to say anything to not see her son be extradited to the U.S.
He's never been arrested, he's never been in trouble. He has a very serious family injury, and his doctor has said that he shouldn't travel.
See, Joe had a secret he had been keeping from his mom. He had spent years hacking and extorting celebrities, stolen hundreds of thousands in crypto, and made quite the reputation for himself with the internet's biggest streamers under his handle, Pluglock Joe. I want to play you a few clips, but they're not going to make a lot of sense just yet.
Went through all my papers, threw a bunch of them away. Now I ain't got shit.
How are you? I'm good, thanks, mate. Wait. Well, Spencer, I go, hey mate, are you there? And he's like, when you get here, my bum's cold. I didn't say when you get here, my bum's cold. I just mentioned my bum's cold. Even more weird.
That is such a low aura thing Spencer's going like this.
This week, we're running back Facebook Marketplace pranks.
Give me a bit more energy, Nicky!
This week, we're running back Facebook Marketplace pranks. We have 6 different pranks. The first one, we're going to be lowballing people on Facebook Marketplace.
Express can let us know what time it is. It's time to work again! Oh, Jesus. Let's see.
A recipe that you need that comes to your mind when I show you.
Anything that comes out of a bag gets over.